That's the part of creative strategy. You need to know each element of the video, not just scripts or not just visuals.
Creative strategy, even though it's a massive role, there's certain things that AI can't replace.
I want to say this in the script, I want to say that in the script. This ad also had that element. Ooh, that hook was good. You start doing drag and drop stuff.
What's sort of like your blueprint? What's that secret sauce that you have to consistently create ads that are both good when it comes to soft metrics, also performance and so on? Anze, welcome to the podcast. Lovely to have you here, man. How's it going?
Hey man, yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. I'm going to jump right into like the meat of the podcast, right? So first of all, AI, artificial intelligence, this is the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about AI. I just wanted to talk about how you're implementing AI.
I would say that we are maybe a little bit behind AI, or not behind. I would say we tried a couple of things this year, but it just doesn't impress me that much, honestly, to provide results. Of course, we use 11 Labs for voiceovers. We try also our cards for artificial UGC creators. But if you really want high quality, you can see that that's not it. And we use our cards sometimes for some green screen effect and that kind of stuff, but not too much. But yeah, ChatGPT is definitely something that we use every day. We basically have a conversation with ChatGPT all the time, just asking questions, bouncing ideas. I just consider it as my personal assistant, or I don't know, a person who can spark creativity out of me. Because sometimes even it's not just in the research part where you need to gather all the personas and objections or whatever. It's also when you are diving into that specific angle. And let's say today I was working on a creative strategy for a supplement brand, and they're pushing very hard, of course, for Q1 and first Q5 after Christmas, and then for Q1 we're gonna make probably 150 videos just for them for January. And basically one of the angles was slow metabolism. And I had conversation with ChatGPT today about that, like why it happens, which person has the most frequent, like when you get older, and so what to do next, and so on, like what are the doubts and fears when that happens, and so on. So that conversation really gives you like a very good answers. And then of course, then it's on you to take these answers in a correct way. So
right.
That's why I think a human needs to be involved, like as a start when you give the prompt, and also when you get stuff back, when you put stuff together in a video, in a script that actually makes sense, then it's useful. So that's how we use it.
I had another question, which was, do you think right now, as of now, AI will be replacing creative strategists and copywriters? You've sort of answered that question initially, but I just want to dive in a bit deeper.
Well, I might be biased because then it's gonna take my job. I mean, creative strategy is such a broad role, if I can say that. You need to know copywriting, you need to know how to use AI, you need to know how to speak to creators, you need to know what is good visual when you give directions, and then also when you do creative analysis in ad account, you need to find patterns inside the video, why a certain video is performing, why the other video is not performing. You need to make notes to what are good elements in the video, what are bad elements in bad video. So you kind of move that. So it's so complex that I would say I don't see that it's close. I see AI as an accelerator to speed up some stuff, and it definitely helped with us. Like we put, like, especially last year and part of this year, we put a lot of effort in script writing, and I still think that scripts is the most important part of the creative. The message is there. Then it's on you how to execute that script. But we got one feedback from a client that was probably 10 months ago or something like that all of our creatives are outperforming the other agency. Mm-hmm. But the visuals from the other agency are better than ours. So that got me thinking, okay, that means that we have better scripts. So scripts are more important. That was just one signal. But what we also got back from that we need to improve our visuals. So we analyzed that agency, how the visuals are doing, how we can implement it. And we learned from that feedback from a client. And since that, we basically destroyed them even more. So That's the part of creative strategy that you need to know each element of the video, not just scripts or not just visuals or not just strengths. There's a lot of stuff that you need to know.
I agree with you here. Like, I also feel like creative strategy, even though it's a massive role, there's certain things that AI can't replace, like the emotions as well. That particularly, I feel like, when you guys made creatives, for us, that emotion aspect of it was hit very, very well, which is partly script, also partly because of the actors and actresses, right? The way they execute on the script once you've given it to them, and then that quality assurance as well, that really plays an important part. Because you spoke about crushing things in the ad account, I've seen that firsthand. What's sort of like your blueprint? Because a lot of people watching, they want to understand what's that secret sauce that you have to consistently create ads that are both good when it comes to soft metrics, but also performance in itself, right?
Yeah, that's something that we really improved, I would say, in the last 18 months. And again, everything is a combination of research, strategy, script writing, and then visuals and editing, like all those 5 pillars connected together. So with research, you need to understand your audience. You need to dive deep. I'm not gonna go into that, like everyone is talking about research so much, so everyone should know how to do a proper research. But you need to dive, like even when you already have an angle, like I mentioned before, slow metabolism, then you need to make a research about slow metabolism. You need to learn about that and how people talk about that. Once you have the research done, then you need to step into the strategy aspect where you prioritize angles, you do analysis of the competitors, you do the analysis of the ad account. So additional research, and then make a plan that will make a bigger impact. And then let's say you have a plan, and based on the experience, that plan usually is executed, or it's a good plan, and then that means that you are speaking to the correct person. So that's the first step that you need to do. If you're speaking to someone who doesn't care about your product, or it's not connected, or the pain point is not big enough, or the audience is not big enough, all of that stuff really limits your ad. And once you have that, then you need to put together a script. Now, when you write a script, you really need to be careful that script makes sense, that everything is really connected, because you can really quickly, because you want to say, I want to say this in the script, I want to say that in the script, this ad also had that element, ooh, that hook was good. You start doing drag and drop stuff, you put stuff in the video. From your perspective, it makes sense because you put together that, but from the audience perspective, it makes zero sense. And you don't even know that you are losing them. And then you see the metrics and you don't understand why. That's also something that what we do here, we have a triple quality check, which means that my strategist will put together a script based on my ideas. Then I'm gonna check the script. Then once the creatives are back and once we check them out, the strategist gives the first feedback to the editor. Then we also include additional strategies from a different team, from a different pod, just for that extra clarity. Does it make sense? Do I understand the product? They don't know anything about the product. They just dive in, they see the video, give feedback. Once all of those guys agree, then they also tag me for a final checkup. So it takes a little bit more time to give, I would say a couple of days more. It's not weeks, it's a couple of days more. But we just want higher quality. And once you have that connected, that script writing, and then also, of course, visuals, then the whole script makes sense and you have a good hook rate because you stopped the correct audience. You have a good connection after the hook, so it's still relevant, it makes sense, people are staying on, your visuals are supporting the text. So everything smooths very well. The pacing is correct for the type of audience. So if it's older or younger and so on. And everything is so well connected, but it's still easy to make a video that's gonna be engaging, that will have very good hook metrics. Well, that's probably the easiest one, to make good hook metrics. It's a little bit harder to make good hold metrics, but it's still doable. But then what happens is you have a very bad performance metrics. That's also a very frequent problem. So because we start from the research strategy and script writing from a direct response principles, that means that script needs to sell. That's our first priority. Once we have that script that we think it's going to sell, then we're going to support it with engagement tactics, performance editing, and that kind of stuff. So all of those elements need to come together that you can say, okay, we can also have a very good pre-click metrics and performance.
So from what I understand is essentially you start off with the idea of selling first, like this ad has to sell, it has to perform. And then you have all these other elements that come in, tie in together to sort of tell the story better, hold people's attention better, etc., etc. You also talked about people mixing and matching. I think here, the rule of one, I feel like that is quite important. You need to know who you're talking to, and you're talking to that one person, and you try and solve that problem, sell that product to solve that problem to them.
Yeah, I mean, you need to know, I made this tweet probably 3 years ago, and I always say, hook is your targeting. It's not like women over 40. It's more like if you mention wrinkles, people who have issues with wrinkles, they're gonna stop the scroll. So you did the targeting with people with wrinkles. So, and then you need to talk about that. So that's definitely very important.
Yeah, like sort of diving deeper as well. So you've mentioned wrinkles, but what does wrinkle do? Like, you know, what affects self-confidence, for example. That's another thing that you can talk about within the body of the ad.
Yeah, that's the second stage, because first you stop the people with wrinkles, then you can talk about personal experience. So you talk about what wrinkles do, it makes me look older, my confidence is low, blah, blah, blah. Or you can go a different direction and you want to be more educational, why wrinkles happens, because the skin is not elastic anymore and so on. So then you kind of filter personas, because like you need to know every second of the video people will drop. But the ones who are not dropping are more and more qualified. Because when they are 15 seconds in, the hardest part is done. Then, and of course, you need to do the selling, and then it also depends on the consideration level of the product and so on. There are other elements in there, of course, but that's how you need to filter the audience.
You spoke a little bit about Twitter and also about the consideration process, right? You mentioned this in your tweets, which is the stages of awareness. Obviously, this is also in some of the old school copywriting books, the 5 stages of awareness. You know, when it comes to different audiences and different awareness levels, does the ad making process then become different, or is it, again, the same sort of process, but you're tweaking maybe your script to talk to different people? Is there any differences between targeting different people at different stages?
Yeah, I mean, we usually have like if I focus on top of the funnel creatives, which are problem-unaware personas or problem-aware personas, but they don't know the product. Like I consider top of the funnel for people who didn't hear about my brand at all. So first touch point. Yeah, there are a little bit different. Like usually those ads that are really top of the funnel in terms of problem-unaware audience, those are usually longer videos. You need to first create a problem for them. Like if you're selling a hydration product, like most people think that hydration is not their problem. They don't know they are dehydrated. Like they think water is enough. Like those are the audience that's the biggest one, but they don't feel the problem. So you need to create a problem for them. So you need to educate them that at some point, if you have dry lips, it's already a sign that you are dehydrated. If you are thirsty, it's already too late. You are dehydrated for a while. So, and then you need to create, so you now created a problem, but now you need to create a bigger problem. So the consequences of dehydration. So now these ads are the hardest to convert, definitely, because you are speaking to persona who doesn't care like at all. So they are definitely long shots. They are definitely worth a shot, because those ads, if you hit them, they can go in over 1 million in ad spend. But then you have problem-focused personas who are already like
aware of the problem.
They aware of the problem. They maybe think about solution. They tried some solutions and so on. So here it's a little bit smaller audience, but still quite big enough for scale. So yeah, those are the two, let's say, awareness ladders that we focus mostly on. Of course, then you have problem aware and so on. But in terms of how we approach it, it's very similar approach. But yeah, You need a bigger pre-story. Maybe when you introduce the product, when you are selling the product, you still need to do a little bit more. You kind of try to make a full funnel ads in one video. So from a completely unaware persona to actually purchase, that's like a huge win if you can accomplish.
I mean, when it comes to these sort of ads, do you also then think about, okay, maybe we can't have a person go through the whole 5 stages in one ad? Then do you sort of segment the ads into different levels of awareness? So you create a bunch of ads that are like more top of funnel, a few ads that are more middle of funnel for people that are aware of the problem, aware of the solutions, but then they're looking at other competitors. I know, because top of the funnel allows you to, as a brand, expand, right? The more problems that unaware people that you can target, the more you can bring into your funnel. Is that a strategy that you've done before, or do you recommend brands do that, or what's your take on
Definitely, yeah. That's definitely something that brands need to do, because like there's not a lot of ads. There's not a lot of products that people will buy like in the first video, boom, we're gonna purchase it. Like sometimes people need a couple of touch points, maybe even 7 touch points.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not gonna go everything through Facebook ads or through Instagram or whatever. So you need to be aware of that. And that's why you need to have like a creative diversification in your ad account. You need to have, of course, image ads, which could also be top of the funnel if you have the messaging right, but a lot of image ads, you can just check the frequency in ad account and you will see that image ads are just going more towards middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel audience, because it just speaks to a different persona. And yeah, you definitely need to have that. We as an agency, we mainly focus on really top of the funnel ads, just because most brands already have internal creative teams, and then they focus on middle of the funnel stuff, bottom of the funnel stuff. At the same time, they also do top of the funnel, but sometimes some brands are doing just those, let's say, easier ads, and we focus on that heavy lifting. That's like a pretty good combination that we see lately.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's something that we've also tried to do internally as a brand as well with you guys, which is expand more. You touched on creative diversification. Now, there's different ways of creative diversification and a lot of misconception about creative diversification. Some people think creative diversification is like carousel ads and image ads or UGC ads. What's your take on diversification? Because me and you and your team as well, we've had conversations, different formats like TikTok, UGC, high-end, etc. Just want to get your opinion on creative diversification, what it means really.
Yeah, I mean, everything is creative diversification. Like, it's also like UGC versus elevated ads. Like, people consume content through different lenses. Image ads, carousel ads, slideshows, VSLs, short form, TikToks, like all of that, it's definitely, you need to put that in your ad account. See performance, you need to try that. But the biggest creative diversification is definitely those stages of the funnel that we spoke about. So try to find a lot of personas that are scalable, that are top of the funnel. Put focus where the big impact is. Because once you can find just one ad, and that way it is going to transform your complete business. Like, it's just insane. And once you find that persona, and if you do the research and you see that it's like a huge audience and it converts, then you can make so many ads that are speaking to that persona, and you just pump. And all of the other ads are going to get better performance because that driver is just making so much heavy lifting. So definitely focus on that. But yeah, creative diversification is definitely then speaking to persona who already, let's say, know the brand, know the product. Then they maybe need to hear about how it works, so more product demonstration, or maybe based on the research you have 3 most common objections. I'm gonna speak just to those objections.
Objection hunters.
Yeah, then you have social proof, and you can try that. Of course, we usually try, when we make that full funnel ad, we usually put a lot of those elements in the video anyway, and then you can take just 10 seconds here from 10 seconds there, and of course you need to put it together that it makes sense again, but you can take a lot out of that bigger, let's say, longer video. So
yeah,
that for me is most important, creative diversification. But yeah, different creative styles are also very important.
Agreed. With some of your ads, I've seen you guys do a very interesting take, and now it sort of makes sense, Within your ads, I see there's parts where you put in like a social proof element in the middle of the video sometimes. Is that on purpose? You know, there's certain things about pattern interrupt that I want you to sort of explain. Maybe is that something that you guys are doing within the ad, where a person's watching and then you sort of pattern interrupt, give them a review, for example, but then you're also using that strategically to cover all these 5 stages. Is that what you guys are doing with the ads?
Yeah, every segment of the video we think about it very deeply. Like if we go in the second part of the video where social proof usually comes in, sometimes social proof can be immediately after product introduction. So you kind of give them reason to believe. But then social proof can go in so many ways. It can go, again, social proof, I call it social proof segment. And that segment can be sometimes 4 seconds, sometimes can be 12 seconds, whatever. You can create a mashup for 12 seconds when you have two to three different creators talking about the product. Then you can have like a just quote over. So it's a different editing design. But at the same time, when we do social proof, we always think who we are speaking to in that social proof. Are we objection handling? Are we talking about a certain outcome? Or are we talking about problem solution in the same quote? So those are very important. And when we do that, when we do the research, when we gather all of the reviews from a client, we already segment those reviews so that we know, okay, this one is talking about wrinkles, this one is talking about how his wife is now giving him compliments, this one is talking about ingredients. So we kind of cover all of those quotes, and then we take those quotes, we try to make them even better with ChatGPT, we add in more emotion, or we can go in Reddit with those quotes, find some more. So we're kind of building a library, and then we can start mix and match in every new piece of.
So from what I understand, you guys go ahead first, do a bunch of research, you create these personas of audiences, demographically, psychographically, and then you're thinking about, okay, where are they in these stages of awareness? And then you go ahead and you do the scripting of the ads. Is that how the process works?
Yeah, I mean, we try to see which angles also worked in the past. First of all, I really like to go do the research without looking at the ads manager. So I really don't want to be biased. So I look at the reviews, look at the brand and everything, look online what's going on. Then I also check the competitors and see the patterns there, like which angles they mostly use, what kind of creative styles they usually use. So we kind of build like a lot of information, and then I kind of already make a strategy for myself. So then I go into Ads Manager and kind of compare what the brand was already doing in comparison to mine. And then I see, okay, I see that 2 angles are completely overlapping, so I'm in a good place. But then I see that I completely missed one angle that was actually very successful. Boom, I have another angle here. Right. So then I kind of gather top angles and I prioritize those angles. Then I know how to go to the next step.
Okay, that's a very interesting way of approaching it. Like you're doing your own research and then you go into competitors and then you're like, okay, validate the research, the angles, the strategy that I've done against what is going on in the ad account. Whereas I feel like a lot of agencies, again, my personal experience has been, they go into the ad account first and then they completely go ahead and replicate already winning ads and then try and compete with the winning ads, which is, I guess, it's a strategy that works to a certain extent, but then we're still limited to the same pool of audience that we were targeting before with the ads, right?
I mean, we do the same, not like we will go into, once I have the strategy done, I go into ad account and I see a couple of ads are doing well. Of course, I'm going to take a look at those ads and see if I can make them better, if I can beat them. But then at the same time, I also see where I missed with my creative strategy, and then I put together a plan. So I think it's a good tactic to go into ad account and try to beat winners, because that's, if you have very good execution, with your team, then you can really have a quick win, and clients hire us for quick wins. Like there's nothing more satisfying than when a client after the first or the second round tells us that they are already scaling. Like that's happy hours for us.
Very interesting approach. Now, you spoke about, we spoke about top of funnel and all these ads, right? What's, say, one mistake that you've personally seen people do when it comes to these top of funnel ads, or trying to execute top of funnel ads? Have you noticed anything?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that they think it's top of the funnel, but they're not. That's one thing. They really don't understand. They think that if they exclude the audiences on the ad set level, they think they are top of the funnel. But if the messaging is not top of the funnel, if they are not speaking to personas, correct personas, it's not going to work, never. There's a lot of there is a lot of very good media buyers out there, but creative strategy is very new position, if I can say that. And a lot of media buyers are looking more from the numbers perspective. But honestly, the secret sauce is in the video. Like, we are selling to people products, people are using your products, not numbers, and video actually makes that communication. So you need to go inside the video, and analyze every sentence, and why is this converting or why is it not converting. Like, those are the things that you really need to understand. And I mean, I've been doing this approach for the last, I would say, 4 years now, and every time I get a feedback from data that it's correct. So that you need to look inside the video. Like, I'm not saying that every time I analyze the creative and then I make analysis and new video that it's working, but a lot of times I see what's going on in there and what needs to improve. So for example, a few years ago, I had 2 ads that were doing really well. And I wanted to understand, we had actually that scenario that we spoke about. So one video had pretty not so good engagement metrics, but performance was great. The other video, performance was a little bit lower, I think it was 20% lower. Still scalable and profitable, but engagement metrics were much better. So I wanted to understand, I really compared those 2 videos between each other. Why is this happening? And what I noticed was that the video that had more engagement it was a mashup, a lot of different people, it was more hyped up, it was more fun, it was more fun. But it didn't have, the scripts were kind of similar actually, but, or at least the structure of the script, it was similar, but there was one element that was really missing, and that was discrediting other alternative. And the other video had that. And what I noticed that, I think it was around 6 to 10 seconds, that 4 seconds was actually discrediting other alternative, and that alternative what most people use. So it was direct split screen comparison. And then I said, okay, what if I take this element and make a UGC mashup, and maybe I can find something better. And what I did that, and of course numbers were even better than that top spender, and basically all of that information that I got was inside the video, not in the data. I mean, data, you start with the data, you see the metrics, but then you need to go in the video and understand what's going on.
Sort of, okay, sick. You're looking at essentially what is happening within the video, correlating that to the numbers, and then iterating pretty much. Now this is a golden question, or maybe even like a controversial question. Do you think that soft metrics are important? Because there's so many people with the opinion that it doesn't matter if your hook is low, if your hold rate is low, click-through rate, it doesn't matter. As long as the ad's performing, that's all that matters. What's your take on this topic?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, when you put data from the whole account, of course you're gonna see very little correlation between hook and the actual performance. But you need to know that in there you have ads that are remarketing ads, that are image ads. Like, you have all of those mixture of everything. Of course it's gonna be messed up. But if I'm trying to speak to, again, top of the funnel audience that is gonna really scale the account to another level, because like, yeah, you can be at 2K of ad spend right now, and one video can get you to 500K pretty quickly, or even more. But you can be at 1 million a month, you're still doing really well already, but then another video comes in, boom, you're at 1.5 or even more. So you need to think about top of the funnel all the time. And for those top of the funnel, you need to have good metrics, creative metrics. Like, otherwise your eyeballs, your clicks are going to be so expensive, then there's no mathematics behind it. We try, of course, performance metrics are always number one. Clients hired us for that. But if we see good, or let's say solid hooks and then also solid engagement after the hook, then we know that we are going in the right direction, because then people, again, our scripts are direct response. We are not selling stories, we are not doing storytelling, we are doing story selling. And direct response is trying to sell the product. So if you have direct response script and also good engagement metrics, usually that is pretty well connected also to performance.
Yeah, I love how you said story selling, not storytelling. You know, that's
it's
a key
different.
phrase.
I have one strategist. She really likes to tell stories. She really likes to make scripts that are a little bit more conversational. And when I check her script, I always scratch that. I always tell her, like, this doesn't provide value. Remove this. We are just losing 2 seconds. So all of those small, sometimes funny sentences, we tried that so many times, we liked it, and we as marketers, like, we are tired of the same ads and the same formulas, and we would really want to do something new. But honestly, when the results are not there, I'm always gonna go back to our proven formulas and try something that actually puts money on the table.
Now here, I would like to add, the thing I'd like to add to this is with the stories or even the ads and engagement metrics, I personally feel like to a slight extent it is important, because you want to reach new people and to sort of, you know, we calculate this in the ad account, which is rolling reach. With the new creatives, the creative diversification, how many new people can we reach? And I think here, the combination of the two, I don't think it's fair to say performance metrics is all that we can care about and we shouldn't look at the engagement metrics, or saying the other way around, which doesn't make sense. Like, engagement metrics is all that we should care about. It's sort of like that balance between the two to then find new audiences, find new customers with these new ads, get them engaged, get them into the brand, the product, and then eventually, you know, story sell them, right? That's yeah. You talked about sorry, go on. You wanted to say something?
I just wanted to say that I know a couple of brands that have a little bit more expensive products. So again, it's a high consideration product, and what they do there is, if they see an ad that has a very good engagement metrics, and even if performance metrics are a little bit higher than it should be, they still keep it live, because those engagement metrics are giving like very cheap eyeballs on the brand, and all the other ads are actually doing better because of the other ads are second touch point and they are converting more. So actually that top ad is actually helping them because of those metrics, because it's so cheap. So it's really brand to brand, but some brands are actually doing that. I think it's a great strategy.
Yeah, I see. One thing I like about that strategy, and I second that, is you can't look at an ad account and say there's just one ad that's doing the selling. It needs to be a combination of different ads, and all of these different ads have different functions in a way, right? Some will speak to people that aren't aware of the problem, aren't aware of the product. And then you have some of these ads that are very bottom of funnel, convert really well, say for example, us versus them. But if you don't have people coming into the funnel, then this us versus them ad, for example, which is a very bottom of funnel ad, will eventually run out of, I guess, audiences to target, and then you can't scale anymore. So it's the idea of looking at the ad account holistically rather than just singling out one ad. You spoke about formulas, and I know we're almost about to run out of time, but I just want to jump into this one thing, which is formulas. Do you have any winning formula? Again, this is a very, I guess from my perspective, it's a very simple question to a very complex situation, which is you can't really have a winning formula, but if there's one winning formula that you'd say, okay, someone that's completely new, probably a brand that wants to scale, do better ads, probably creative strategist, is there a formula for script writing that you have?
I think I would definitely say problem agitate solution is definitely very, well, I would say for us it's already a basic formula. Mm-hmm. But that's a formula that's very structured. So it's for someone who it's maybe earlier in the process or a smaller brand, that's something that's easier to make. Then of course others are when you start with the actual results and then you circle back to problem. So those are also very effective. But you need to start with those two. You need to start with either a problem, which could be, of course, multiple things, or the results, the outcome. Those are definitely things that everyone should start with. Write down all of them and then decide this is my next angle to test.
With the problem agitate solution, I think the trick is also to finding the right problem. not the problem that you think works, but the problem that your audience need a solution to. And I think that really hits the nail when it comes to the problem agitate solution ads.
That's probably for everything. Like, you need to find correct problem. You need to find correct result or outcome. And how to find it? Again, research. Like, everything we do here goes back to the research, because if you don't, know your audience, you're just flying blind. You hope to throw shit at the wall and hope something sticks.
Yeah.
But then when it sticks, you're not completely sure why it worked. So then again, how you can replicate it. So that's basically the thing. So you need to be really that's why we are very structured, so we can repeat those results over and over.
That sort of brings us to the role of the creative strategist, right? Because you need to have the right information as a creative strategist. Quickly, before we jump on to the last topic, what would you say are some of the core skills that a creative strategist needs to have in this space right now? With AI and everything in place, what would be some of the skills, top skills?
I would say the number one is definitely copywriting. So, and under copywriting, you have the research part and then the actual script writing. And when you do the research, how you prioritize angles, like all of that, it's so important, because if you miss here, you are out. Then of course you need to know the platform. It's either TikTok or either Meta or Instagram. You need to know that so that everything fits in that platform. You definitely need to know. You need to be a visual person. Like, what is a good visual? Of course, here the editor can help you a lot, but still. For us, strategists had to learn quite a lot of that. What is a good visual? How is the connection between the visual and the text? That's also very important. And then when the editor gives you the creative, the strategist knows how to give feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one is definitely creative analysis. So inside the ads manager, how to look at the data, how to compare ads, analyze them. So there are a couple of segments that the strategist needs to know.
Mm-hmm.
But all of those segments are very different from each other, which means in my opinion, they're fun. It's not boring.
It's different things, and it's a combination of soft skills and technical skills. Like, research you could say, is a soft skill, but then you also need to understand how video editing works. So when you're going back and giving feedback to your video editors, you can tell them like, hey, these are the technical aspects that needs to change. And that's a very interesting way of putting it. Now, I've taken a lot of your time. The last thing that I want to ask you is, speaking to brands, creative strategists, planning for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, right? We're just about 10 days away from the date we're recording this video. Is there anything that you have to say to them to do within the next 10 days that they can implement right away?
Right now it's probably very late. With that, we were planning for everything in August.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say don't overcomplicate things. Like, your offers needs to be simple. That's the first thing. Black Friday, people are here for discounts, for offers, which means that they need to be simple. The other thing is, take your best evergreen ads and just put ad copy about Black Friday or headline about Black Friday. Those are very easy to make, very quick to make, and usually the best ones. Those are probably my top 2 tips that I would give, that for the last 6 Black Fridays that I've been involved, that always works.
So it's essentially, don't be late. Take your winning ads, turn them into Black Friday focus or Cyber Monday focus creatives. And the last thing is essentially just don't overcomplicate your offers. Keep it simple. Anze, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you. A lot of things learned and very interesting discussion as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, man.